Welcome to the Charity Changemakers Podcast, the show where we dive into the journeys, challenges and successes of the leaders shaping the sector today. Each episode I'll be sitting down with the senior charity leaders to hear their stories, uncover their insights and explore what it really takes to drive change today. And if you enjoy the podcast, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe, like and share to help us reach as many people as possible and showcase the incredible charities that are coming on the show. So whether you're a charity professional, a trustee, thinking about joining the sector or making that next step in your career, or just passionate about making an impact, then this podcast is for you. Let's get started. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Mary Oakes, who's the Chief Executive of Opportunity International UK. Mary continually describes herself as a fundraiser through this conversation. So we're going to be reflecting on her journey through her fundraising career and into the role from entry-level roles within the sector right through now to Chief Executive of an international development organisation, where she's still drawing clearly upon her fundraising skills and expertise and those skills that she's built in her career that she's built over the last few years. It's a really fascinating conversation. You're going to really, really enjoy this one, and one where we pick up on the importance of mentoring and coaching and investing in individuals, as well as some really strong stories about the work that Opportunity International are doing and the impact that they're having across the globe. Honestly, it's an organisation that I really rate incredibly highly. Links to their website are going to be in the show notes below. So do please make sure that you go and have a look at the organisation and different ways in which you'll be able to support and engage and to get involved. But look, that's enough from me. Let's get on and meet our changemaker. Mary, it's really good to have you here on the Charity Changemakers podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Adam. Thanks for inviting me.
That's great, lovely. And look, I can never do these introductions justice as well as others. So I always like to give people, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, up to a minute, sort of introduce yourself, who you are, where you work, and what you do.
Yeah, my name is Mary Oakes. I am the fairly newly appointed Chief Executive of Opportunity International in the UK. So I've been in this role for 3 months. Prior to that, I was a Deputy Chief Exec here. Yes,
yeah, absolutely. And you've been with Opportunity for a couple of years, is that right?
Yeah, nearly 2 years.
Yeah, perfect. That's great. Good. And we're going to hear more about that journey to how you've become a chief executive and the route into the charity sector as we move through the conversation. But we've got some quick fire questions that we ask. We've been asking all of our guests here that have been coming on in series 2. These are questions that were chosen by the listeners from the first series. And the first one is what are you listening to or reading at the moment?
I tend to read for pleasure, so total escapism. So at the moment I'm reading There Are Rivers in the Sky by Alif Shafak, which my best friend gave me for Christmas. It's just really beautifully written and I'm really loving it. I'm also dipping into a couple of kind of leadership books, a book called Turning the Ship Around by David Marquette, which has got some really great leadership lessons in it, although it's all about submarines, which wouldn't be my natural space to be. And going back to the old classic, Good to Great by Jim Collins. So just dipping into that as well.
Yeah, perfect, great. Oh well, three recommendations there for the listeners, which is brilliant. I really like this next question, and I keep saying on the podcast, I'm still not sure entirely what my answer would be for myself. But what is a quality that you had as a child that you still have now as an adult?
I think probably it would be something around friendship and relationship building. Yep. I know that when I was little and like in brownies, I was a really naughty brownie, but I had quite a lot of friends in brownies. And I think that has been with me throughout life. I've got a lot of friends that I've had since school and a lot of friends accumulated through work as well. And I see that, as a fundraiser, that kind of relationship, ability to build strong, authentic relationships is really important. So yeah, I think that's come from my brownie days.
Yes, yeah, brilliant. Oh well, there's a whole bunch of questions there as to what made you a naughty brownie, but I probably will be going off in going off in a different tangent. And finally, then, if you have a completely free day, Mary, how are you spending it?
Usually with my wellies on outside. big fan of the countryside, either with our Springer Spaniel, Poppy, who's a complete maniac, needs lots of exercise. I've also got a horse. I'm sure this is something that we'll talk about a bit more. I love my riding. It's my ultimate escapism, passion, feeds my soul. So yeah, riding my horse.
Yes, yeah. Oh, brilliant. I love these podcasts. I mean, we've known each other now for a few years, Mary. I think, and that immediately I've learned something new, and didn't know you were mad into horses. So no, that's good.
Yeah.
And, like I say, we'll touch on it as we go. Look, we've got this really broad question. This is obviously, the podcast is very much about supporting people that are either making that move into the sector or trying to progress within their career. We've done, I don't know what, 20, 21 of these shows now. I don't think we've come across two people that have had the same route into the charity sector, or many people that very envisaged when they were a child that the charity sector was where they were going to spend their career. I'd be really interested into what was your route into the charity sector? How did it all start for you?
Yeah, I think, again, fairly eclectic route, and it certainly hasn't been a smooth journey. It won't surprise you, given my previous answer, to say that all I wanted to do when I was young was ride horses, and I studied equine science at university because that was the only reason I'd go to uni, was if I could study and ride horses. So I left uni and did a couple of years in the equine industry, and then I think I just realised that it wasn't a long-term career path for many reasons. And I kind of just fell into fundraising. I was in Oxford, actually just a couple of 100 metres up the road from our office here, and just got a temping job in one of the Oxford colleges. Started out as database manager.
Yeah.
But I was really lucky to be in an environment where they excelled in major gift fundraising, and I just kind of picked it up and thought, maybe this is something that I could do.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have a huge amount of passion for working in higher education, but ended up getting a maternity cover job at Tearfund. Right. And that was really the first opportunity where somebody believed in me and gave me a chance, and helped set up the major donor program at Tearfund. So it wasn't intentional, it was accidental. But once I found my way into the charity sector, I absolutely thought this was just where I'm meant to be. Yeah. I just felt like it brought out my passion. It helped me express my faith in a really practical way.
Yeah.
And just kind of that sense of vocation. So that was 20 years ago. And I've had various roles, the majority of them in fundraising.
Yes, right, okay.
Up until this point.
So as you reflect, in fact, actually, you talk about that journey. I think if people will go back to season 1, I think it's Beth Crackles, who's the chief executive of Sheffield Hospitals Charity. I think she went and studied equine studies at university, and has ended up as a chief executive in the charity sector. So you're not completely unique in that for horses to charity. So worth going back and having a listen to that one as well. But I would be really interested in those early days at Tearfund, then at the beginning of your fundraising career, after moving on from within the Oxford colleges and getting a bit of a grounding, I guess, within the sector, and what that looked like then moving into major donor fundraising, what the team, sort of size of team, because Tearfund's obviously a larger, one of the larger Christian international development organisations. So tell us a little bit about those early days.
Yeah, I think I joined as a partnership fundraiser. I'm still really good friends with my fellow partnership fundraiser, and she was focused on the trusts and foundations. But we would just get checks for £15,000, £20,000 coming across our desks, and not really knew who these people were or why they were supporting Tearfund.
Yeah.
And so I think I just had the opportunity to start to build more of a relationship-based approach to fundraising in that team. And I remember one of my bosses being quite adamant that I had to be in the office all the time rather than out meeting people. Yeah. So it was a bit of a culture shift for Tearfund to think, actually fundraising might involve getting out and about and seeing people. So yeah, we were just a 2-person team within a team of probably 8 or 10 fundraisers at that time.
Yes.
And I know that the major donor fundraising team at Tearfund now is huge.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
not
Indeed.
claiming any responsibility for that, but it's been amazing. It was amazing to be there at the start of that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to build those initial relationships. I'm sure some of them are still continuing on.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I say, and with that, I guess was that opportunity then to get out to represent the organisation, to talk about as you said, build on those childlike qualities that you had, obviously about I guess that
Yeah.
inquisitive, wanting to build relationships, partnerships, getting to know people. So with that grounding, I guess within Tearfund and with the education fundraising as well, where did that sort of lead on to?
I think if you could demonstrate success at raising money, raising reasonable sums of money, you become quite an attractive fundraiser for especially within the faith-based sector, I think, which is a bit more
Sure.
limited in terms of recruitment. So I saw, I've always been quite ambitious, but in the sense of, I wonder where this little girl who likes riding horses could end up. And so I kind of pushed myself around people management and trying to manage a team. I went to the Church Mission Society as their fundraising manager. I'm not sure that I was the best there, but it was another great experience at managing a team. And I think, that's where my other kind of strong relationship qualities really come to the fore, is around people management as well as donor relationships. So I've just found myself in those sort of team management, fundraising related positions,
Yeah.
and just trying to look after people, and yeah.
Yeah. So I guess within the sector, it's given you, as you've grown obviously with the fundraising, there's been opportunities there. So from Tearfund to Church Mission Society and World Vision as well. Is that right? Within part of
Yes. Yeah. So I really loved my time at World Vision. I think I did 6 years as a major donor manager and then head of philanthropy. And then I spent 6 months in Ghana as well, on some of their grant management. That was a really great time in Ghana to try something different and really push myself out of my comfort zone. And it certainly wasn't always easy, but I definitely learned a lot.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And I'm always interested in when you have those overseas opportunities and field trips, you're getting to see what impact that has back in, to you as an individual, but also I guess within the team and obviously the fundraising ask and the work that you're having. What impact do those types of trips have on you, as an individual, but also I guess in your work and your approach to the work that you're doing?
They're so powerful, and I feel really lucky to have been able to travel quite a lot. I think especially with World Vision, I took quite a lot of donors to visit the work that they were either interested in funding or had funded and wanted to see the impact. So being able to create travel itineraries that really opened the donors' eyes to some of the issues that people were facing on the ground, as well as to illustrate the solution, is an amazing thing to be part of. And I think I did my first trip to Africa. I went to Rwanda actually with church, and it was maybe 7 or 8 years post genocide, and that's a fairly eye-opening experience, I think, definitely. And really does have an impact on you personally when you're building houses for child-headed households where the parents have been through so much trauma. And it definitely, as a fundraiser, gives you that passion to work really hard because you really believe in what you're doing. You've seen the impact that this work is having and you really want to drive it forward, and you know that funding is so key. But also you hear stories that I think as fundraisers we have an obligation to share.
Yeah.
So, I just got back from Uganda 2 weeks ago. I was in the refugee settlements on the border with DRC.
Right.
And seeing the number of people flooding across the border to safety because of the fighting that's happening, and to see the conditions that people are living in and to have the privilege to walk away and come home, I find really, really difficult. And so my challenge to myself is, well, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And it really does compel me to try and make more of a difference and to do something for those people, and to try and balance some of the injustice.
Yes. Yeah.
So those trips are hugely impactful.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think it, like you say, just that motivation, it lights that fire within you. I guess. Yeah, those trips, I guess, don't get any, like you say, just been to Uganda recently. I guess they don't get any easier in that sense of the things that you're seeing that are happening in people's lives right now across the globe.
Yeah, I think, and there's amazing stories of hope as well coming out of that. Where organisations like Opportunity are making a real difference to people. I think I saw a bit of a pressure cooker environment where increasing need, I'm sure so many chief executives feel like this, increasing need, decreasing funding, like that sense of, well, we need to scale up, we need to do more, but how is this going to be funded?
Yes, yeah. And that's obviously clearly questions that every organisation, like you say, are wrestling with. I mean, it's interesting. You've described yourself as a fundraiser a few times through the conversation. I mean, obviously, you don't have that title, in job title at the moment. But is that still? And I guess we'll talk a little bit about how you got to where you are now. But do you still very much see yourself in that ilk as needing to raise funds and take driving that forward?
Yeah, I think the chief executive role at Opportunity was a fundraising focused role. It always has been. And I think as I was looking for chief executive roles, I knew that I would be a strong candidate in the ones that had a strong fundraising requirement. I just know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. So that was something I was quite strategic about thinking through.
Yes, yeah. So we talk about these organisations. Actually, this wasn't intentional at all, but obviously we talked about World Vision, Tearfund, and Church Mission Society. All three of my current clients, actually, and organisations that I've got roles active with. So I can do a little mid podcast shout out to those organisations and to people listening to go and have a quick look at our website and the roles that are available there for those organisations. But we're talking about, particularly with World Vision and Tearfund, obviously, two large organisations, obviously, clearly, involved in a whole range of different services and delivery of work. Obviously, as you're growing in your fundraising career through that progression, what did that lead on to? Where did you go from those? Was it World Vision that was last in that list?
Yeah, so I did the role in Ghana. Was a 6-month role, and I did think about staying on longer, but for various personal reasons came home. And at that point I really loved World Vision. I just found it a great organisation to work for. But as a major donor fundraiser working in a sponsorship focused organisation, there were limited opportunities as to where to go. So I took a job, a regional role with Habitat for Humanity, looking at major donor fundraising across their they had a Habitat Development Council, which was a way that they were bringing major donors together globally and trying to create new networks. So I did that for 2 years, which was, really eye-opening. I hadn't worked in the housing sector before.
Yes, yeah.
Learned a lot. And then went to Innovista International, which is a really small faith-based organisation in Oxford.
Yep.
And I had felt that having worked for some of these larger organisations, I wanted to go somewhere smaller where I could make a bigger difference and bring all of that learning and investment that I'd had and bring it to bear on a smaller organisation. Yep. So I was the director of fundraising and comms there for 5 years.
Yeah.
But during that 5 years, the war in Ukraine broke out, and Innovista was in this unique position where they had networks on the ground it's one of these kind of the benefits of being a smaller grassroots organisation. They had networks on the ground that when the war started, we were able to send small grants to church leaders who were opening up their churches for displaced people to come through.
Yeah.
And we were able to move much faster than Tearfund or World Vision, who weren't really operating in Ukraine at the time. So that was a really traumatic but amazing thing to be part of, to be able to make a difference on the ground so quickly and to raise so much money, because we had that unique connections with grassroots pastors.
Yeah.
So I did that for another year, just trying to raise money and raise the profile of what was happening there.
Yeah. And through this move through the various organisations and through your career, obviously clearly the success has come from being able to generate income and to raise funds, and that's how it worked. Presumably, you were beginning to get experience in managing teams and people, and thinking about the strategic side of the fundraising and the impact that has on the organisation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've always, having had some fairly challenging conversations with donors, maybe even in my Tearfund days, about whether organisations were fit for investment and, if their money was going to be well spent. I've always enjoyed thinking about creating organisations that, would be attractive to donors. So that's kind of led me into some of those leadership and more strategic conversations. I really enjoy thinking about organisational development. And so that's kind of pushed me into this broader leadership space, where I want to make sure that organisations are well governed, well run, and therefore seen as investable to donors.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's great. And as you reflect on that career journey, I mean, we'll start talking about opportunity, I guess, in a moment. Are there things that have helped you along the way in that progression to go from role to role, or people that have stood out? Are there different elements, as well as clearly, obviously, being successful at raising income that has helped you to take those steps?
Massively. I've always benefited from quite a strong network, and I think this comes from working for some of those bigger organizations. You just build up, you get to know a lot of people, and some of those become friends, some of those become mentors, but always having people to discuss strategic things or issues or challenges with, I've found really, really helpful. And I've had a couple of mentors more recently who've just been so generous in their time that they've given to me, and willingness to support me and believe in me. I've really, really learned from them. I did the diploma from the Chartered Institute of Fundraising fairly early on, and I think that stood me in good stead. And, going to lots of networking events has been beneficial too.
Yes, yeah. It's always interesting, I think, where those qualifications, people talk about the things, the qualifications that they've done, but more often than not, the importance of individual, whether it's a boss or a mentor or a coach that's just really spotted something or help can help drive people forward. And that peer-to-peer network, I think, is the thing that we hear time and time again, so important to have that. I guess that a bit of a circle of trusted people that because there can be times really when you might want to pick up the phone or drop a message and sort of bounce ideas off people in a or rant or let it out in a sort of safe space. That becomes really, really important in the networks.
Yeah, definitely. I think somebody once said to me that your network is your net worth, and I think that is really true, and I've really tried to intentionally build that. And there's some extraordinary people in the sector who are so generous with their insights and their wisdom that I have really benefited from. I had a coach for quite a long time at World Vision. I was when I took the head of philanthropy role, I was the only woman in a senior leadership team of about 16 men.
Yeah.
And had a coach at that point, and that I found that really helpful, just to think about what does my leadership look like?
Yeah.
How do I maintain my authentic style of people management and leadership in a team which is a bit more male?
Yeah, male dominated in an industry where actually the majority of people are women.
Yeah.
In work, particularly when you look at fundraisers and people working within fundraising. But yeah, still when you get to that senior leadership level, a bit of a that disparity. So do you think it's the because clearly you then made that step to director of fundraising, then deputy CEO to CEO. Do you think that's partly around the coaching that's helped to give? That backing, that confidence to take those steps, to put those applications in, to go move through those processes?
I think that imposter syndrome is a very real thing. I'm sure many people will agree, and I have found it really helpful to know that other people believe in me, sometimes more than I believe in myself, and that has encouraged me to take next steps when otherwise I might have faltered a little. So to have people around me that I can talk things through and who offer me wisdom has definitely been pivotal to me getting to this role.
No, that's really interesting. I think we talk so I talk with candidates all of the time, clearly, and sometimes we'll see people looking at you look at a job description or a job advert, and it might have lots of, many of them have lots of bullet points, but you've got sort of 10 bullet points, and I might talk to someone and say, well, I've got 8 of them, but I haven't got those 2, so I won't apply. And generally, not always, but a bit of a rule of thumb is that, particularly for a woman, they might feel like, well, actually that's not for me, I'm not going to make that stretch. Whereas I don't know, I'm making some broad brushstrokes here, but you might talk to a man who says, well, I can meet 2 of those 10, so I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And it can sometimes be that different level of approach that I think there is something about the sector needing to get alongside and to encourage and to mentor, to coach, to give people the confidence to move forward in those steps, because we've got so many gifted and talented people that then aren't making that step into a senior leadership role, and the sector's crying out for them.
And I think I feel a responsibility to help support some of those younger women who are starting out in their careers. And I just feel that, I felt when I took this role, I thought, gosh, this has not been a smooth road. And I don't think we should give the impression that progression through your career is naturally just like a linear path of glory. It's absolutely not. It's been really hard, and there's been highs and lows, jobs that have worked, jobs that haven't worked out. And I think as I've maybe got a little bit older and a bit more, I think that really knowing your strengths and owning those and really holding on to them with authenticity and self-belief is really important. So knowing that I am a compassionate and empathetic leader, whilst it might not be the typical leadership style that has perhaps been promoted, I think there's lots to like about it, and there's lots of benefits to it. So I feel really strongly about talking about that and encouraging younger women who maybe need that same encouragement that I did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the sector is getting better at that, but there's still, like I say, there's still work to be done, which is vital and really important. So talk to us then about this step then into Opportunity International UK. Obviously been there for a couple of years as deputy CEO, and now the last 3 months as chief executive. Talk to us about that step, and then I'd love to hear more about Opportunity and the work that you're doing, because it's just an organisation that just really strikes a chord with me, and really love the work that you're doing.
I had thought maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I just had this little seed of an idea that maybe I could be the chief executive of a smaller charity, something that I really passionately believed in. I didn't really know what to do about it, but there came a point where I think I saw a job and I thought, maybe I could do that. And I applied and I didn't get it, but it was a really positive experience. And so I went for maybe 7 or 8 CEO roles.
Yeah.
All of them with a strong fundraising leaning, and all of them that were causes that I could really get behind. And I think I kept coming second or third in the process, which, I thought I was quite proud of myself to have got that far. It's quite a grueling process getting to those final interviews, but I obviously just wasn't getting the job, getting it over the line. And so I asked for some feedback from some of the people who'd interviewed me, and asked them, what did they think I should do? What would it take? And the board at Opportunity came back to me and offered me a deputy chief executive role, which was amazing, because they obviously saw something in me that they thought was strong, and wanted to invest in me. So I took the deputy CEO role in May 2023.
Yeah.
Kind of launching myself into this more senior position. An Opportunity hasn't, it's been through some difficult times in the last few years. It hasn't all been smooth sailing at all.
Yeah.
And we had to make some redundancies last year as some of our institutional funding fell. We were predominantly funded by DFID for many years. Yeah. And as that funding tailed off, we needed to right-size the organisation in a way that better fit our income. And I think towards the end of the year, there was a decision that we couldn't afford to have a deputy CEO and a CEO.
Yeah.
And so Nana Francois, who was the CEO at the time, has taken on a role driving forward impact investing for Opportunity through a commercial subsidiary, which is absolutely what she loves to do, and totally suits her background and skills and experiences.
Yeah.
And I picked up the CEO role, driving forward income and managing the team.
Yeah.
So 3 months in, it seems to be going well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's early days, obviously.
Yeah, that's right, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. But tell us a little bit about Opportunity, the work that you do, who you are as an organisation, and what that looks like.
Yeah. So we're a global network operating in over 33 countries, and we provide access to finance, traditionally microloans, and financial literacy training, business management support, and mentorship to small entrepreneurs in sub-Saharan Africa. Yeah. So that could be, it's mostly women, our clients, farmers, shop owners, school teachers, and as I saw in Uganda, refugees as well. Yeah. So this is a new area of work for us, looking at how we can support refugees who might not have the access to finance because of their status. How do we tailor what we do to better suit the needs of the most marginalised?
Yeah. And I know obviously we've had the opportunity to work with you guys, and one of the lines that I really liked from the materials that we used was about giving a hand up rather than a handout. I don't know. Have you got a story or an example? It might be from a most recent trip. Of some of the work or the difference, or one of the person's lives that you've been working in.
Yeah, working in the refugee settlements in Uganda is a really interesting place to be, especially as you understand the funding cuts that are happening as USAID closes so many projects. These refugees, these new arrivals are coming into the refugee settlements with hardly any food anymore, very basic shelter, low provision of water. And the settlements are interesting. They're fairly stable. They're not like a refugee camp. Yeah. People stay for 10, 15 years. Wow. And an Opportunity is able to come alongside these groups and help them think about starting to save small bits of money that just build their resilience, and helping them to think about setting up small businesses so that they can have a regular income. And that might just be selling cassava or maize, but it allows them to become self-sufficient. They're not reliant on aid in the settlements. they can feed their children and they can send them to school. So we met one girl, she was 17 years old, her name was Jolie. She'd been through our street business school training, which is a 7-module training program helping people think through customer service, business management, employing other people. But her story was absolutely heartbreaking. She'd arrived in the refugee settlement with her 4 younger siblings. Her mother and father had left them. And she was wondering how she was going to take care of her younger siblings. So she started selling cassava, and her business was now growing enough so that she could actually pay for her children to go to school. And she was so proud of that. She told us about how she'd had to sell herself in order just to buy some flour. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But the fact that we had given her some tools to help her become self-sufficient and not dependent on the ever-reducing aid was really powerful. And you know, we met hundreds of people who had benefited, and that's just one of the stories.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I really like. You know, the model's really attractive in that sense, isn't it? That you can make that impact now, but it's going to have a lifetime. You know, those tools that you've given that young woman are the tools that she'll have for life, which you know, just
and break intergenerational poverty. You know, break those cycles, because you're enabling the children to go to school, which is one of the key factors in, you know, securing their futures as well.
Yeah. Which, and I don't know the figures, but I imagine it's for what is probably a small amount of money and an investment in that one individual that then, like you say, has that impact not just on that individual, but on the family, the local community, and grows from there.
Absolutely.
There'll be listeners, I suspect, who, you know, this is the first time that they're coming across Opportunity International UK and the work that you're doing and hearing about the organisation. Clearly, obviously, there's the website to go and have a look. But how can people get involved? Are the ways in which people can support things that are ongoing at the moment that would be helpful?
Yeah, I mean, we're desperately raising money for our refugee work at the moment. Recognising the needs that are there in the communities that I've just visited. So yeah, anybody who wanted to make a donation can visit our website and do that. We're particularly trying to grow our regular giving. We've predominantly focused on major gift fundraising, which is why it's been such a good fit for me personally in this role. But we know that we need to build our funding base.
Yes.
So yeah, regular giving is something that we're really trying to drive forward.
Yeah, perfect. Great. We'll make sure that the website is in the show notes so that people can very easily click the link to come through. Mary, one of the questions that I always ask someone as we sort of draw the conversation to a close on the podcast is if you could go back and speak to your earlier self, earlier on in your career, and give yourself a piece of advice or a little bit of insight, what do you think you'd draw upon or reflect to your younger self?
It goes back to what I was saying earlier about just believing in yourself. I wish I'd had more self-belief when I was younger. And I think to surround yourself with people who believe in you and to build that network really early on to support you when things don't go to plan or when the challenges come. And that could be personal challenges and work challenges, you know, to really have that network of friends and peers to support you. I think that's what I would tell myself.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. No, that's great, and it's been so lovely for you to come on and to share your journey with us. And obviously, it'll be exciting to see the continued growth and work that Opportunity, will be delivering, and what that continues to look like for you and for the organisation, and obviously the lives that are being transformed by the work that the organisation are doing and the impact that it's having. Obviously, we'll make sure that you're tagged and the organisation is tagged. Obviously, when we put the podcast out, if people have got questions, are you happy that they drop your note or get in touch? Is that okay? Yes, yeah.
Would love to hear from people.
Yeah. Great, good, and look, I'll probably say this towards the end of every pod, and I don't know when we'll get there. But look, with these stories and these journeys, I always think it would be really great to have sort of follow-ups to these, and invite people back on the podcast in maybe a year or two's time, just to see how things are going. But Mary, again, huge thanks. Been really great to have you on and to hear more about your career journey and the work of obviously of opportunity.
Thank you, Adam. Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Charity Changemakers Podcast. I hope you've been inspired by the incredible work being done across the charity sector. And this episode is proudly brought to you by my business, Charisma Charity Recruitment. We are passionate about delivering top-tier recruitment services to the charity sector that we care so much about. If your organisation is looking for expert support, then we'd love to help. Please do get in touch today. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, please leave a review and don't forget to subscribe, like and share, because it helps us reach more people and showcase the amazing charities that come on the show. And for more episodes, please visit our website, charismarecruitment.co.uk. So until next time, keep change making.